guys, I am Ashwini Salokhe and I like to welcome you all in my new video. Friends, today we are going to learn a very inspirational poem from our textbook, that is 2.1 Song of the Open Road. Poet's name is Walt Whitman. He was an American poet. His lifespan was from 1819 to 1892. Friends, I like to share some information about poet. Walt Whitman was an American poet, essayist, journalist, and the most influential poet. He was often called as the father of free verse and bard of democracy. He was a famous teacher also. His major poetry collection, Leaves of Grass, was first published in the year 1855 with his own money and became well known. His poem, O Captain, My Captain, written on the death of Abraham Lincoln, is widely popular. His influence on poetry remains strong. His poetry often focused on both loss and healing. Ezra Pound, a modern poet, called him as America's poet, means he is America. Here you can understand how Walt Whitman was popular in his era. Friends, now I like to share the information about poem. Song of the Open Road, poem by Walt Whitman, first published in the second edition of Leaves of Grass in 1856. The whole poem has 15 sections and 46 stanzas. The complete poem can be split in two parts. The section 1 is for our syllabus, which is a beautiful blend of self-awareness, free will, and tenderness of heart. The poet intends to express his own thoughts over journey of life taken on different roads. The poem Song of the Open Road is in free verse, so the lines are unrhymed and of varying lengths, but still having artistic expressions. It shows the complexities, ups and downs of life and poet's inner desire to enjoy to its fullest without bothering about tensions and worries. The poem is in the form of dramatic monologue. It is an inspirational poem written in the form of narration or speech. Friends, let's come to our poem 2.1, that is Song of the Open Road. Friends, I like to tell you about the first stanza, stanza number 1. Afoot and light-hearted, I take the open road, healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Afoot and light-hearted, I take the open road, healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Now, few new words. Afoot, on the way or in preparation. Take to means begin. Light-hearted means open-minded or cheerful. Brown path means bare land. Now, I like to explain the first stanza. In first stanza, the poem is in the form of dramatic monologue, so the poem is in the voice of the poet. The poem begins with poet's journey on foot on the open road. He speaks about his readiness to begin his journey. He is open-minded and very cheerful to take his journey towards the healthy and free world. The poet has a control over the journey because he is confident and he has the freedom to choose his own path. Now friends, I tell you that in the first stanza, the road signifies mobility. This road journey which the poet wants to take. This road journey is metaphorically used for the journey of life. This is about the first stanza. Now, I like to tell you about the second stanza, stanza number 2. Friends, henceforth I ask not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms, strong and content, I travel the open road. Henceforth I ask not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms, strong and content, I travel the open road. Now, few new words. Henceforth means from now on, from now onwards, hereafter. Second word is good fortune. Good fortune, good luck. Next word, whimper. Whimper means low voice of cry. Now the last word, querulous. Querulous means complaining or argumentative. Now I like to explain about the second stanza. In second stanza, the poet doesn't feel good luck must favor him because he will work hard and make his dream come true. He considers himself the creator of his own fortune. He is not going to cry or hesitate or do anything without postponing it. He expects nothing. He will now put his plans into action. He is no longer satisfied being confined in the four walls. He likes to unlock himself from several complaints and arguments and criticisms in his past life. Now he is strong and happy enough to travel on the open road to meet all the problems of life. Now, in this second stanza, Whitman uses querulous criticisms in the 6th line. The use of figure of speech alliteration and transferred epithet here emphasizes the poet's carefree tone and which is continued throughout the poem. This is about the second stanza. Friends, now we look at the third stanza of the poem. The earth that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations near me, any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. The earth that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Now some new words for you. First word is sufficient. Sufficient, enough. Second word, constellations. Now constellations, here the meaning of constellation is fate or destiny or the influential groups of people. Now the last word is suffice. Suffice, adequate, be enough. Friends, I like to explain this third stanza for you. In third stanza, the poet tries to free himself from the worldly pleasures and relations. Here, he seems to separate himself from others. He says the earth is enough to provide his needs. He doesn't need destiny or lucky star to help him. He doesn't need powerful people. Powerful people means influential people, constellations, to help him in his progress. Because he says that they are fine there where they are. He knows they are good enough for those who belong to them. Friends, here poet doesn't include himself in the group of constellations. Constellations means the influential people. So, because now he doesn't need them, he did not want the help of these constellations. He is sure he can manage his life's journey and Mother Earth is now enough for him to travel. This is about the third stanza. Friends, now we move to our last stanza, that is stanza number 4. Still here, I carry my all delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women, I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear, it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them and I will fill them in return. Still here, I carry my all delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women, I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear, it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them and I will fill them in return. Now this is the last stanza. Now new words are delicious burdens. Now delicious burdens has the meaning sweet memories of past life. Now the second word is to get rid of. To get rid of, to free oneself, to relieve. Now the last word is to swear. To swear means to make a promise. Now friends, I like to explain this last stanza for you. In the last stanza, in last 4 lines, the poet separates himself as a different kind of person. The poet admits that he is not without his own problems, but instead of irritating, he likes them. He calls them delicious burdens because they are wonderful. He admits to all that he carries them with him wherever he goes. He swears that it is impossible for him to get rid of them. He and his burdens share an involving relationship. So, he is filled with the burdens and in return, he feels them. Now, again in this 4th stanza, the poet the effective use of the figure of speech, paradox and metaphor in the word delicious burdens gives a poetic effect to the poem and also an impressive touch to the language. Friends, in this way we have learned the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th stanza of our poem. In 1st stanza we have only 3 lines and in 2nd, 3rd and 4th in remaining 3 stanzas we have 4 lines, but the whole poem is in the form of free verse, so the poem has no rhyme scheme. Friends, now I like to tell you some figures of speech from the poem. Now the first figure of speech is alliteration. Alliteration, when a consonant sound is repeated in the line, then we have the figure of speech alliteration. Now look at the first line, that is the long brown path before me leading wherever I choose. Here the consonant sound L is repeated, so there is alliteration. Now in the second example, querulous criticisms. Here also the consonant sound K is repeated, so we have the figure of speech alliteration. Now the second figure of speech, that is repetition. Repetition means when a word, phrase or a line is repeated, then we have the figure of speech repetition. Now the first example of this figure of speech is henceforth I as not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Here the word good fortune is repeated, so the figure of speech repetition is found here. Second example, I carry them, men and women, I carry them with me wherever I go. Here the word I carry them is repeated, so we have the figure of speech repetition. Now the last example, I am filled with them and I will fill them in return. Here the word fill is repeated in this line, So we have the figure of speech repetition. Friends, our third figure of speech is paradox. When a logical statement contradicting itself, then we have the figure of speech paradox. Example is, still here I carry my old delicious burdens. Here delicious burdens, these two opposite things are together. They are absurd, so we have the figure of speech paradox. Friends, our next figure of speech is metaphor. When there is indirect comparison between two objects without using the words as, like or so, we have the figure of speech metaphor. Friends, the first example of this figure of speech is Song of the Open Road. Here, Song of the Open Road is metaphorically compared with the song of the life's journey. Now, the second example is Still here I carry my old delicious burdens. Here, the past memories are compared with delicious burdens. So, in this line also, we have the figure of speech metaphor. Now, our next figure of speech is inversion. When the words are not in the correct order, then we have the figure of speech inversion. Now, the example is strong and content, I travel the open road. Here, the order of the sentence is not correct. So, the correct order is I travel the open road, strong and content. Now, the second example is afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Here also, there is incorrect sentence order, and the correct sentence order is that I take to the open road afoot and light-hearted. So, in this way, we have the figure of speech inversion. Now, friends, our last figure of speech, that is transferred epithet. Transferred epithet means the epithet is transferred to the other noun, then we have the transferred epithet. Now, the example is done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Here, the epithet is transferred from the noun. So, the phrase indoor complaints describe the poet who earlier had been enclosed indoors and complaining. Now, he will no longer do that. In querulous criticisms speaks of an irritated person constantly criticizing. The poet has decided he will no longer indulge in that also. Friends, in this way, we have learned the figure of speech which we found in the poem 2.1 Song of the Open Road. Friends, I know you all like my video. Friends, this video is really very useful for you. Friends, watch this video carefully and learn the poem 2.1, that is Song of the Open Road. Friends, now I like to thank you all for watching my video. We will visit in our next video with a new topic. Till then, bye bye. Take care.